Good day. This is Lance Wallnau bringing you the firewall, the necessary resistance to the decay and incendiary antics of the left. And my trusty sidekick, Mercedes Sparks, who brings to us an ever fresh and effervescent perspective on all of the facts and data that I get wrong. So we're going to go right ahead with the big story right now, which everybody should be talking about. There's a developing awareness happening, Mercedes, and that is that the federal government can do nothing but screwball ideas. And the ideas they come up with, I don't care what they are, whether they're caravans coming over the borders or whether it's the $1.9 trillion absolute, it's like the Titanic hitting an iceberg on purpose for our economy. And I think we're so diffused and distracted with all of these crazy antics that you know, before COVID, during a Trump era, we would have obsessed over $1 trillion. I can remember battling over $1 trillion. Oh, what this? Now we're just writing checks left. There's 1.9. Here's 1.3. And it's just frightening to look at. But I want to give you guys an optimistic and hopeful perspective on everything happening, because here's what I believe is taking place. I believe that the federal level of government has lost its mind. However, the local is now the hero. So what you're seeing is the whole nation is looking at their states differently. Because when the federal government is normal, all the news cycles revolve around what's going on up there. But when you really see crazy things happening in the federal government, 75 million Trump voters particularly are going, what the heck? And I promise you there's another 20 million Democrats, libertarians, and independents that are going, they're doing what? And at this moment in time, everyone's looking at New York, they're looking at California, and they're looking at Florida and Texas. Isn't it funny how those four big states represent the goofy side of thinking with the Democrats and the hopeful side of liberation and freedom and domestic tranquility and prosperity for the future? You got Abbott and DeSantis and look at how Newsom and Cuomo are like absolutely flaming out. It's almost like the hidden hand of God's providence is moved past the federal election. And I have a theory on why those people of faith should take heart right now and see that God is doing something over America that is really redemptive, because he's exposing at a root level where the country is corrupt. And it's now the microscope is going down to the states, and we're seeing wisdom or folly at a state level. And I think when it bounces all the way down, it's going to come and ricochet all the way back up to the federal government. Anyway, so what is the governor's controversy here? Governor Abbott, what is he saying here right now? That's the big news this week, Mercedes.
Oh, yeah. Well, big news this week. We've got a couple more states coming into the picture here saying no more mask mandates. And Governor Abbott is also saying we're going to open up 100%. So all these businesses could be open at 100%. And I love what you said, too, Lance. It's like we're seeing almost like a case study, state by state, of Democrat progressive policies being worked out, and in conservative states, conservative policy being worked out. And there's really nobody who's done it better than Governor DeSantis down in Florida, Texas Governor Greg Abbott. Just the picture of what freedom and liberty should be looking like. And so this week, he fell into hot water. We have a Biden clip. Biden saying his ideas are so dangerous, and I want to play it for you because
whose ideas are dangerous?
Oh, Governor Abbott and DeSantis and all these conservative governors. He's calling them dangerous, and he goes into this clip, actually calls them Neanderthals, which is such a weird word to choose. But that's what he said. So let's play it for you just so you could see what the president has to say about this.
Message to Texas and Mississippi. Texas and Mississippi.
I think it's a big mistake. Look, I hope everybody's realized by now, these masks make a difference. We are on the cusp of being able to fundamentally change the nature of this disease because of the way in which we're able to get vaccines in people's arms. We've been able to move that all the way up to the end of May to have enough for every American, to get every adult American to get a shot. And the last thing we need is the Neanderthal thinking that in the meantime everything's fine, take off your mask, forget it. It still matters. I carry a card with me. I don't have it. I put it on my desk. As of yesterday, we had lost 511,874 Americans. We're going to lose thousands more. This will not occur. We'll not have a...
Can you believe that, Lance? This is a big mistake. It's Neanderthal thinking. Shocking coming from the president. Now, it makes it sound like these guys haven't really thought this through. And I mean, Lance, I don't know. Did you see the video of Governor Abbott going through the stats? I'm not sure. I think we have a clip of it. I don't know if you want to play it or not, or you want to run through it.
We could play part of it, because here's the reality. Now, you take, it's so maddening to me, because what you've got is the stupidest possible Neanderthalic policies are going to be coming out of the left. For instance, and I'm getting ahead of the story, but while Texas Governor Abbott is going to be reciting for us the logic behind the testing and the vaccines and the science of the opening up of Texas, just like Florida, and showing the data on it, being accused of being Neanderthalic. I'll tell you what Neanderthalic is. Neanderthalic is when you open up the border, you knock down territory. You make it, you send out an invitation, you whistle for everyone who is poor and broke and wants to come into the United States, to crash into the country, and you start lining up 70,000, 80,000 to 100 to 200,000 a month who are going to be coming over. 76,000 or so just came over, and you don't COVID test them, but this is Neanderthalic Democrats for you. They're not going to COVID test the people they're inviting in from Central and South America. In fact, when they are tested and they find that they are positive, they allow them to get on a bus and go spread the holiday cheer into every part of the United States they go into. That's not Neanderthalic. That's criminal dumbness. They're doing that. In Texas, the border is going to be penetrated, so that at a time when the governor's trying to bring the state back alive, it's being sabotaged by Democrat policy. That's the kind of stuff that drives me nuts. But there's 4 states that are evidently in danger right now of being labeled by Biden as being Neanderthals. We got Mississippi, Texas, Montana, and Iowa. What does Governor Tate Reeves say? Do we have a tweet up there? I think we have a tweet we're going to show. Did we already put that up?
Not yet.
I want to read it for you. Executive orders that interfere with people's lives were the worst, but the only possible intervention for much of the last year. Now we're putting our focus towards rapid vaccine distribution. We're getting out of the business of telling people what they can and cannot do. Please hear me. This is where the populist movement in the United States has to go. This is where this program and other programs that are coming forth on this channel are emphasizing. We've got to get government out of the business of totalitarian control of our lives, of our words, of our children, of our bodies. It's interesting to me how the left freaks out over women's choice to be able to be free to do whatever they want to do with their body. And who are you to tell us what to do? And when it comes to vaccines, or when it comes to elections, the left will tell you exactly what you do and you cannot do, because they're obsessed with controlling every detail of people's lives. That's the nature of a totalitarian system. So it's not about you having the freedom to control your life. It's about someone else making the decisions for you.
Totally.
That's what upsets me, Mercedes.
Yep, I agree. Well, it's masks. I mean, you went into politics too in elections, but really masks. It's like when you say my body, my choice, and feminists are saying, well, I have the right to abort another human life that I'm carrying around because of the decision I made, yet I don't have the ability to take the mask off of my face and go into a business or not go into a business and wear that mask. I mean, it's crazy. And what's going to be super interesting, and I know we're going to talk about a little bit more like woke corporations, but this idea that at a state level, you could have the masks removed, even at a federal level, you could have the mask restriction removed, but now at a corporate level, corporations might be able to force you to wear masks in their store or in their restaurant, and I don't have my free choice to do what I want to do with my own body.
Woke capitalism. I know we're coming to the end of this segment, and I don't want to drive my producer crazy, but I think those of you that don't know Governor Abbott ought to at least get a sample of him. He's like anyone who's really nerdy kind of puts me to sleep. But I want you to see that he's the opposite of the Democrats in the White House. He's a thinking conservative. Go ahead, let's play a moment of him, as much as we can handle. Go ahead.
Texas is far better positioned now than when I issued my last executive order back in October. And we are in a completely different position than when I issued my first executive order last March. Back then, hardly any Texan knew what PPE was. Now we have an abundance of it. Early on, there were no COVID tests. Now we have the ability to do well over 100,000 COVID tests per day. When COVID first ravaged our communities, there were no medicines to treat it. But now we have antibody therapeutic drugs to treat COVID and to keep people out of hospitals. In fact, as you all know, I was with the mayor and I was with the chancellor as well as other Lubbock leaders when we formally announced the rolling out of these antibody therapeutic drugs and making them available in large-scale process to people in Lubbock.
He goes on. He'll take you through every detail of the pharmaceutical achievements of his administration. But the point of the matter is, he's got the situation under control. And the fact is, Texas and Florida are kicking butt compared to New York and California. In fact, the unemployment and the economic devastation that is happening in New York and California is shocking, which is why I'm so irritated, and you should be too. The $1.9 trillion has been set aside to go bail out the incompetents that are mismanaging their states and to fund their radical agendas. But we have better news coming up in the next segment. I want to talk to you when we get back about the distinctions between wisdom and folly. And we're going to talk about Florida as an example. We'll be right back in a moment.